lovely sunshine that is over here in the UK. Nice and sunny and enjoying the lovely sunshine that is over here in the UK. Quite a lot of people on our show today. As you notice, me and the others are okay. All right, but at least they're something nice to look at. I'm going to be looking at Matt and Kirsty because we'll see them again on Monday. I've been abused before the beginning of the show, everybody, by them, so I've got to put that in quick before everybody else comes on. So this week we're going to talk about regression and the mind. A lot of you viewers have been asking all about it. What is it? How do we go about it? But then also, because we have to have a powerful mind, what can our mind do? Is it just about regression? What other things can our mind do for us? Do we see things that are not there and so forth? So we've got a panel of actually gorgeous, very talented and professional people with us. I'm not going to do any introductions because I think they can do that for themselves, because if I try and introduce them, you all know me by now, I will mess it up big time. So I'm going to go over to Mira. Yeah, so I got that right.
How about if we start off by you deciding that you have a very powerful mind and everything you do is always right and always perfect? How about that, right? So, hello everyone. My name is Mira Kelly, and I'm thrilled to be with you. I came into the work of Past Life Regression because of my own healing experience with it. And then I was very fortunate to continue doing this work with many other people, publish a book on the subject, and truly impact people's lives every day using Past Life Regression. So thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be with you.
Thank you. And we all know our lovely Leanne here, so there you go.
Hello everybody, welcome. I'm glad to join us. I'm quite excited to be part of the show today. I'm a big fan of Past Life Regression, so it'd be nice to hear from the people that kind of are experiencing doing this. So yeah, welcome. Nice to be here. Thank you very much. I'm a bit about myself. The guys that already watch the show know, but I'm a Reiki energy healer. I'm also an avid fan of mindfulness. I do dream analysis and interpretation and studied reflexology, and it's all things that really kind of helped me on my own journey of self-development and healing as well. So yeah, enough about myself. I think go on to the next guys.
It's like celebrity squares.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Cassie.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassie Childers-Rowe. I'm an American past life regression therapist, but I'm based in southern Spain. And I also came to this type of therapy through my own healing. I ran an NGO in India for 7 years in the Tibetan refugee community. And it was there that I learned some Tibetan methods of dream yoga, which led me to my first past life experience. And then I decided to make it my career. I'm very happy to be here, so nice to meet you all.
And I don't think I really need to introduce the other two, so let's just move on to
Hi, we're Matt and Kirsty. For those of you that don't know us, we're often here on a Monday evening. We are mediums, and I am also a hypnotherapist and a past life regression therapist. Spirit showed me my different lives, and that's what brought me onto the past life regression therapy route, and I adore it. I think it's fabulous.
My name is Matt. I'm also a medium. I am a complementary therapist as well, doing various complementary therapies. In addition, I do Reiki, spiritual healing, and I've also studied psychology and mental health. I'm working with special needs in various forms of mental health for about 25 years.
I wear lots of different hats.
Yeah. And then we have our Angelina. Hi, Angelina.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name's Angelina. As Richard just said, yeah, I'm sort of multi-dimensional. I've got lots of hats too. I started off as a counsellor 10 years ago, but I'm very kinesthetic, so I had to go through a series of experiences myself. So trained as a fitness instructor, and then after that went into some Reiki healing, so I'm trained as a Reiki master as well. I do tap in clairvoyantly, and I'm really, really intrigued about the mind and all things soulfulness and integration. So really, really looking forward to being part of the show, and so thankful to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Now, everybody, we've already got questions coming in already. We've got a lot of things to talk about, but before we carry on, just to quickly say hello to everybody. We are talking about the past life regression and the human mind. So what's your thoughts on it? What's your thoughts on regression? Do you have any stories at home to tell us? Do you have any questions for our wonderful panel? You can ask openly or you can ask directly. We've got a lot of experts here. So before I do that, let's do some good hellos. So hello to Karen and Bobby. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. Desiree, good afternoon to you. To Tom, thanks for joining us, Tom. And to Diana, to Debbie, to Dawn, to, there's quite a few. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. To Phil, to Vicky, to Sam. Well done again, Sam, for last night. You did very well. He's a new medium came on our channel. Hi to Wendy. We got hi to Sally as well. To Haley, welcome. Join us. Thank you. To Susan, hi, welcome. Hi to Hannah as well. Hannah's saying that she loves this subject. It's fab. Hi to Vaughan. And Hannah said she's doing this at uni at the moment. To Jane, thanks for joining us. And to everybody else, I'm not going to go through them all because I'll be here all day and all night. So, what got you guys interested in regression and the mind? What sort of triggered it off for you? Who wants to go first? Who's brave enough to go first?
Okay, I'll go first, shall I?
Go on.
Everybody else seems to want to throw forward. Okay, for me, as some of you guys know, I work as a medium, and I love working with spirit. Spirit are awesome, and I also love to meditate, and I do all sorts of different other therapies, but the meditation is the one that really connects with me on a different level. And basically, during lots of meditations, Spirit decided it was a wonderful idea to show me some of my different lives. And I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to just let Richard take the mickey out of me considerably. In one of my previous lives, I was a nun. Cue Richard.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't do it. I'm quite disappointed in you, Richard. And I just got intrigued by it all. I've always been fascinated, and through my work since training as a past life regression therapist and clinical hypnotherapist, it's just opened my eyes completely, because it's awesome to watch it unfold, and it just excites me even more.
Wow.
Is that the same for everybody else?
That was such a beautiful story. Have the two of you experienced each other in a past life together? Because there's such a great connection between the two of you. So have you seen other lifetimes where you were together?
Oh, I think she should be the presenter. That was good.
That's a very, very good question.
You've done this before, haven't you, eh? Yes, we've had other lives that we've lived together, and yeah, I mean, one of the things that people tend to say is we're very different in our personalities. I'm the very straight-laced one, while, as you can see, Kirsty isn't.
I'm the naughty one.
Perhaps in a previous life I was the flamboyant one, I don't know. But we've had different experiences, and we say things that sort of resonate from different lifetimes. You know, one of my previous life, I was very much a Puritan and that, but as we've gone through different lives, we've noticed there has been a lot of similarities, sort of like what's the word, the sort of like the 30s and 40s sort of lifestyle, that type of music, you know, interest in the Victorian eras and India, you know, we got married, and Kirsty dressed in red, and we're very much interested in sort of India and that sort of area. So it'd be interesting to see what the speaker who mentioned about India before comes on. But yeah, I mean, I think from a relationship point of view, not just ours but anybody's, you know, I think, you know, there's a lot of overlapping in the sense of brothers and sisters, you know, mums and dads, the roles within, you know, the soul families. I also think there is interactions between friends and, you know, having previous lives with them also, because there is just, it's quite interesting to see really strong friendships that you've almost known and had a sense of knowing each other before. And to me, not being a past life regression therapist, that to me is the interesting thing, seeing how you came together, what interaction you've had, and how you've shared a previous life before. It is certainly an interesting topic, so thank you for putting that as a question.
Great question.
All right, and thank you. I love what you shared. And talking about India, I'm so sorry, Richard. I totally took over.
Carry on, please carry on. It's less work for me.
Talking about India, I wonder, Cassie, if you felt a karmic connection with India, because that's where you not only did the NGO work, but also you discovered your passion for past life regression. So I wonder if you've experienced lifetimes there.
Maybe not in India, but I feel a very, very strong connection to the Tibetan culture. I was living in India, but I was within the Tibetan refugee community, and that's really where I felt the connection. It's like I could learn the language so quickly, and I'm terrible at learning languages. And I just feel at home there. I feel like I'm one of them. It's really strange. And many Tibetans have said to me, oh, I think you were Tibetan in a past life. So, you know, I definitely feel like there was something that led me there, because it was the most random experience of my life, how I ended up there. And yes, my first true experience was just from a Tibetan person walking up to me. He was a sadhu, a learned yogi, and he just put his hand onto my head and he told me one of my past lives, just like that. And that definitely made me fascinated enough to go into it further. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I think from it takes me back to the reading of the book, I can't remember the name of the full title, but the Ferrari book, of where he is in America, and he gives it all up and discovers that new life. A similar experience to what you're saying.
Interesting.
Yes.
We've had a question come through, and it's from Desiree. Exactly what purpose is achieved by doing past life regression?
I would love to answer that one, because I get to to work with that one every day. So when a person experiences their past lives, so regression is the process that we use in order to connect with past lives. People connect with their past lives spontaneously in meditation, in dreams. However, regression is a process that allows us to get there very quickly and almost on command, if you will, right? I'm showing up and I'm wanting to connect and to experience. And so connecting with our past lives allows us to see the bigger picture of our soul's journey. It allows us to understand the relationships with other people through lifetimes. It allows us to understand so many intricacies about who we are, about our preferences, about our personality, about our uniqueness. It also helps us heal everything and anything, phobias, you name any physical issue, or truly anything, emotional causes, issues with money, karmic relationships, health relationships, or even the very question of what is my purpose, what am I here to do? And that's the reason why I'm so in love with with past life regression is because no matter the question, it allows us to get to the core of the answer and to connect and to understand. And what is so extraordinary is that every time after I work with a person, the person comes out of the experience lighter and freer, with that deep connection with the divine, deeper connection with themselves, and the freedom to be more of who they were meant to be in this life.
That was quite deep, wasn't it? Look, you mentioned earlier about dreams in regression. So is there a connection? Do you get a lot of that yourself, Leanne?
My personal belief is yes, I do, and I have, and they really do stand out to me. There are some times when the other side of my mind tries to question whether there is something else that's triggered why I've had that dream, and is it something attached to maybe thoughts or outdated kind of behaviours as such. But I have personally had dreams where without a doubt, I've seen myself in another life with the period clothing and the feeling and everything around it. The scenery is just not modern. The things that I'm seeing people doing don't add up to kind of the daily life we're in now. But I've also had the experience with some of these past life dreams where I've physically felt that it was showing me a pattern of behaviour or certain emotions or fears that I had that were kind of wanting me to kind of recognise them and where they initially came from. But what I find with the past life dreams that I've had is they're very distorted. So I see what my mind might be doing is grasping the main important parts of that past life, so to speak. I mean, I've really experienced some very strong emotions from these dreams as well, and I think all my life, from a very young age, without even reading about it, I'd hear people say, "Oh, you must have met in another life," and it always fascinated me, and I could see that kind of connection I had with other people as well that had just turn up in my life, and I'd feel like I've been there with them before, I've experienced things with them. I feel like I know them on a different level. I've had kind of past life dreams where I've physically only seen maybe my feet or my arms or what I've been wearing, and one particular that I just kind of seemed to be in what looked like, I wouldn't say Victorian clothing, but what I would have associated with somebody in the Wild West, and a lady in that kind of dress, and I was actually running, and the thoughts that went through my mind at the time was like I was running away from the lifestyle of a Westerner and wanted to join the Native Americans, and I was being screamed at not to do it. Don't run away, don't do what you're doing. But it then led into a dream that I had about Native Americans and the fact that I had a real strong soul connection with a Native American man, and it seemed that I'd become injured or somebody had actually harmed, somebody actually hurt me, and I then kind of went into the feeling of I'm passing over. So it was a very, very strong experience, and your mind does try to rationalise and tell you different things about, are you really seeing what you think you're seeing? But the emotions and what you're seeing and feeling is so real in a detached sense that to me it can't be anything else, and they do stand out more than other types of dreams, I think, too.
I think the other thing is from a mediumistic as well as sort of subconscious level, it is that a lot of people when we've had readings have said, I'm very much drawn to Egypt, or I'm drawn to the Orient or to a different culture, and I don't know why, I've always wanted to go there, and for myself, like one of my guides is a Chinese guide, and I've been very much drawn to the Orient from a very, very young age, so there's that part of it as well. But it's similar to one of the speakers going on about, feeling at home in Tibetan way of life. It's like you've always been in that way of life. To me, the soul is very much like a compass. It directs you, and I know You mentioned before with the past life that the soul is almost purpose by having the past life regression, but the soul directs you to where you need to be, and to me that's where you feel the most comfortablest, what you feel is your perfect life. So what would be interesting to hear from all the therapists is whether the life that you enjoyed the most is the life that you're drawn, the way of life that you're drawn to. So for instance, in my ways, the Orient is that, how can I put it, a past life that I actually felt comfortable in.
Do you get that when you do counselling, then, Angelina? Do you get
I was, I was just listening really intently on all your speakers. I feel like I'm the counterpart to the regression work, the mind, because I'm very into. I was drawn into to the concept of epigenetics and changing your biology. So I really like to facilitate the free world without victimisation. And I feel like I'm very big on soul's purpose. I feel like most of my work is facilitating the individuality in each person's life. And that within that, I know I'm quite kinesthetic, and the way I process is quite complex. And I feel like my job is to simplify the contradictions in life and the polarity of the mind and the soul, but also the heart. And I feel we have to kind of, as human beings, our job is to embody the soulness of us and the part that has DNA with ancestors and back in past lives, but also to be able to determine some kind of flow in terms of being our own compass, like our master of our thoughts almost. And I feel like with past lives, sometimes we relive emotion that is both counterintuitive and productive and soulful. It's a complete array of bliss and confusion at times. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question, Richard, because it's quite a complex piece. But I find that I have, because I was intuitively led to look at multisensory work, I mean, like multidimensional, who we are as a multidimension, in a multidimensional world. I feel like I have had a lot of interest in past regression. I certainly feel like I've lived many lives.
Interesting. We've got another question coming in. This one is from, from Cheryl. She's asking, does past life regression come with any risks, and what are they, please? Cassie, do you want to start off with that one?
Sure. I think that it's really important that you choose a therapist to do a past life regression with who is truly that, a therapist. I fear that there are some people out there that may regress you to some traumatic event in this life or in a past life. And the danger with that is they bring something up, but then just cut it off, the session is over, goodbye, without the actual therapeutic healing aspect of it. We're not just trying to contact a past life to see what it was. We're trying to contact a past life in order to see a causative effect of something that is affecting you in the present life and heal it and process it. So that's the main and only danger from my perspective, is that you bring something up and then don't properly process it. So with a very good skilled therapist, that's not going to be a problem though.
I have a very different attitude on this one, so I'm going to say yeah, and I think differently. So I see what you mean. However, I want to tell you from my experience, first of all, I'm not a trained therapist. And yet I consider myself to be one of the best ones, right? Mm-hmm. So I immediately go into, that's not a guarantee of what's going on here. So I have a very different experience. When I was 13 years old, I regressed the very first time I did that. I regressed to a very interesting experience where I saw myself as a Russian spy during the time of World War II. And I was actually immediately, as the regression was guiding me, I actually created a recording by reading a script of the back of a book. And so I created a recording, and then I played the recording for myself, and that's how I had the experience. And so as the experience guided me, as the recording guided me, I immediately dropped into the body of a woman. I just looked down, and at that time I was 13 years old, and there I was in an older woman, and I saw my shoes, I saw my wool suit, the skirt, the jacket. I saw my stockings because, that was the style of clothing. And I was in a hallway, in other words, the exposed brick on both sides. And I was scared out of my mind. And I knew that I was being chased by Nazi soldiers, because and this all happens literally in a split second of me knowing what's going on, because me in that lifetime as a Russian spy, I had assumed the identity of being a doctor, and as this doctor, I had received orders to poison a very important general in the Nazi army, okay? And so I had killed the guy, all right? Rather than treating him, I had actually poisoned him. And so I was found out, and there I was running down this hallway, and I was literally seeing doors on both sides and trying to press the handle and trying to escape. And at the end of the hallway, I reached a door where I was able to, the handle gave in, I walked into the room, and I saw how there was this little tiny window where the wall met the ceiling. And I knew that that's the end of it, that the soldiers will get me. The next scene that I saw, I actually saw it from above. I was observing the execution of myself, of the woman that I was in that lifetime. Wow. So I was placed in an electric chair, and I saw a very beautiful, I didn't experience the pain of it, I didn't experience any of that, and I saw how the spirit left the body, and then souls came to get me, and we continued on. And so it was such a beautiful experience, actually, that at the age of 13, I realized that there's no death. There's no such thing as needing to be afraid of death, right? And so, Cassie, I'm telling this story to share that within our psyche, we have inner protection. Our psyche will never give us something that we cannot handle, because at 13, I could not have handled experiencing the whole thing, right? Years later, when I was already in my late 20s, I reconnected with that lifetime, and I experienced the lifetime again. However, this time I went much deeper into the story of the torture and the details of, even the moment of how I was standing next to this general, and I was supposedly putting medicine into his glass of water. I had this pivotal moment of looking up and saying, should I? So a part of me knew that it's not the right thing, and yet the cause, right, the greater cause of greater good, and then like I said to you, the torture. So all of this is for the purpose of saying we have an internal guidance system. We are safe, we are protected. I do not want people to be expecting that the healing through past life regression only happens through dramatic stories like the one I just shared. In fact, whenever people at workshops or when they work with me say to me, I'm scared, what if I see something traumatic? What if I experience something that shuts me down and, adds up on the pile of stuff I need to heal and work with? I always tell people, first, you're guided from within and you're protected from within and you're safe. And second of all, the people who are always most afraid of having traumatic experiences come up are always the people who end up having very happy lifetimes and having very healing experiences from happy lifetimes, because it's not true that we need to have an experience of a lifetime that was painful and traumatic for us to move forward and to heal from that experience, right? So I have a very, very different answer to what you said.
I agree with both of you in some form and disagree with you also. And the reason for that is because, yes, I do believe that your mind will protect you up to a point. There is a cut-off point in your unconscious mind or subconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, that says, nope, can't handle that, let's shut the doors down. But there is also the reason why people come to see therapists, and it's really, really important that you get somebody, if you've got something going on in this life that you have brought forward from another life and you want to deal with that, it's really important to go to somebody that's had the training and knows what they're talking about. And the reason for that is because your body is ready to say, right, I'm ready to reject this now. It's ready to come out. It's ready to be dealt with. So quite often there will be a significant trauma attached to that. Not always, but quite often there's a significant event or trauma or something going on that you haven't resolved from the past life, which is why you've brought it forward. And to expose yourself to that, and you know what they're called abreactions, for people that don't know, is what will happen is they'll sometimes be crying or very distressed, and the person it's not so much about the regression, it's about the therapy side of it, in the sense that you need to be able to care for that person that's having that abreaction, that distressing moment, and just kind of wrap them up and allow them to go through that and see, because that's how things get mended, in my opinion. You have to go through them, and then once you've got through them, you know, then there can be acknowledgement and therefore an acceptance and therefore a healing forms. But in order to go through them, you need sometimes to have that support. It's no point somebody getting regressed and, you know, they've got this terrible thing going on and you're leaving them distressed because you don't know how to mend it. You don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to support them.
I think to add to that, I think as spiritual people, as well as talking about our spiritual experiences, our awakenings, and all of those things, from a purely humanistic, we have ethics, and we have to be ethical in our approaches, and we have to be honest with the people we work with, and we need to be trained to deal with situations when they arise. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a regression therapist, but I've worked with mental health. I've worked with professionals right across the board for near enough 30 years. And if I had somebody who is playing with the mind, who is not trained to do what they're doing, they are leaving long-term damage. So in answer to Cheryl's question, is there any risks of past life regression? Obviously, you need to talk to the past life regression people, but any messing with the mind, unless it's done properly, will have a long-term effect. And my concern is there are so many people over the years who say, I'm a medium. I have had people come through from the past. I can see people of previous lives, so I can do your past life regression. They're then getting to the point of where they are dealing with traumas they are not trained to deal with. Now, Angelina and the other colleagues here have trained, and Kirsty and other people have trained for many, many years to do what they do, because it needs years of study and practical clinical experience, rather than just saying, I've done a 10-week course about past life regression and understanding what past life regression is, so I'm now going to do past life regression. And for me, as somebody believes very much ethically that is wrong, and we are putting people unnecessarily in dangers where they don't need to be if they go to the right people. Now, I hear what you're saying about trauma, and obviously I've listened to some of the specialists as well, but trauma has a funny way of locking itself away, and the mind deals with it, but then it comes to a point where it has to be released, and it has to be done steadily, and it has to be done in the right way over a long period of time. You can't do that in an hour and a half or 2 hour, whatever the period is of your past life regression, and to say that this person is now safe. We have a duty of care to the clients that we represent, irrespective whether a past life regression, counsellors, hypnotherapists, mediums, complementary therapists, dream man, whatever. We all have a duty of care to the clients that we represent, and it's important that we take our role seriously. We've done the proper training, we continue to train, we can continue to become aware of the skills that are needed, and more importantly, the lives that we are working with, because a lot of the people that will come to us have either got simply an interest in past life, or are in a very, very vulnerable position, and we are meddling with their lives, and we just need to be careful.
Do you get that, Angelina? For example, Hannah's just turned around and said it can be dangerous to. It can be dangerous. I think if the person is not in the right frame of mind, it can be dangerous.
100%. I mean, I really believe in the systemic approach. I mean, trauma work, like I said, I'm kinesthetic, so I've gone through my own trauma and had my own long-term personal therapy over many years. And what I learned about my own shadow work and trauma is, and I often refer, people kind of make it tangible by labelling the PTSD thing, but it's a complex piece. It's in our body and it's formed part of our identity as well. So to shift that paradigm takes a bit of it's honouring the process, and I agree. I think it's Matt and Kirst. Matt, you said it's about really working ethically on understanding the individual within their trauma and how deeply ingrained it has been, and when I say honour, it's about kind of having a really good plan. I like to be able to hold space in the freeness, but also in the containment as well. So yeah, I do feel we have to be careful. I mean, I found that I ventured into the work of clairvoyancy and mediumship myself when I ventured into the fitness industry. And the reason why I ventured into the fitness industry was I realised as a trauma survivor, I needed to work out the chemical balancing within my body to understand what was housing such deep emotions. So I realised that there is our body is complex. Yeah, it is complex.
A question for Leanne. When people have regression and they're seeing things and they tell them, and then they may dream a similar sort of situation, can you tell if somebody's been regressed, or do you advise people to have regression?
It's not something that I've ever kind of advised someone to do, really. I think kind of when the way I kind of look at the dream analysis side of things is there are lots of different approaches to it. I've kind of looked at people like Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud. They've all got different ways of approached it, and I think again with dream analysis, I try to be very cautious with it because our dreams are very, very personal. So I mean, obviously to me, if somebody kind of starts talking about a dream and I get an indication that it may be coming from a past life, it's not from my point of view, it's not for me to kind of tell them that. I tend to look at kind of the analysis of how many different aspects and where these dreams can be coming from. And there's obviously the latent symbolism behind it as well I can look at. I will try to break down the aspects so that I'll look at different parts of the dream and analyse them separately, but put them back as a whole together. But ultimately, with kind of anything like dream analysis, the actual person that's had the dream, one of those aspects will connect with them, so it's them being in control of their own dream as such, and where they're seeing that coming from. From kind of the sides of kind of past life dreams, I kind of know it from my own experience when I've had those. And like I said, there are other people out there that have, when we've talked in the show, that people have definitely know they've had a dream of a past life. But I think it's, from my point of view, it's quite important for them to make that stipulation on it. I've never actually recommended anybody kind of have any past life regression. I've always been fascinated in it, so it's really nice to kind of listen to you guys that have got the experience. And I tell you, one question I just wanted to throw out there on the back of being cautious of how you do these things. What's your guys' feelings on kind of online regression, like meditations that you can find past life regression on? Because I've actually done a few myself. Have you? Thinking alike, look. So, because I've done a couple of these myself, and sometimes it's not really kind of worked. I can feel my mind popping in and out of a consciousness, so it's like my mind is trying to fight it. But there have been other times when I've seen the most incredible things. And even the last one that I did, it did leave me quite an eerie feeling left behind. I actually saw myself in about 5 different versions, and it was coming towards the end of the regression where it was actually talking me out of it. And it was actually kind of asking, as such, to put these past lives and any traumas you had to bed. And I saw all of myself in different forms running towards this point. And as I realised where it was leading me to, it was leading me in my mind to a grave and asking me to get back in it. And this fear that took over, like, what are you talking about? I'm not getting in there. And as I looked up, I saw an executioner in front of me. It did leave me a bit fearful, but at the same time, my mind kind of rationalised it. And I kind of realised that it was actually maybe a few things that I needed to kind of just lay to rest as such. But yeah, what's your guys' thoughts on people doing kind of past life regression through online meditations? Do they need to be careful with that?
When you say online, do you mean using recordings, or do you mean...
Yeah, like guided past life regression videos that I've come across. I know Brian has done one as well, which really worked quite well for me, and that one I felt very peaceful with. But yeah, I just wondered what your thoughts are on that and how to look at those.
I would love to answer that. So I have a couple of them on YouTube for people to access for free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One is on experiencing a lifetime of abundance, because that's an issue that a lot of us are working through. And another one is more of a general regression. And so people can find that just by going on YouTube and searching for my name, Mira Kelly. So as I said to you also, I've had my very first regression with a recording, right? And also have been using my own recordings over the years. And I love how beautifully you described that. Sometimes my consciousness is popping in and out, and I'm not able to stay with the process. And sometimes I have profound things come through. So that's really how it goes. You summarized it really well. I constantly receive emails saying, I used this and that regression of yours, whether it's one of my recordings on my website, whether it's the free ones that I mentioned to you on YouTube, and people saying, and this is what I experienced, and this is what I answered. Or sometimes I'll get emails where people say, and this is what I experienced, and I don't fully understand it, right? Like, I don't fully get what was that about. And so I help people make sense of everything. And so the way I guide people to use online recordings is to always set an intention, have a focus of what you're looking to work with. And then that allows for the answers to come through. When a person works with a regressionist one-on-one, the process is much deeper. The pace is not the person keeping a pace with a recording, but the person being kept pace with by the regressionist, if that makes sense to you. And so then the questions are deeper, the revelations are deeper, the work is more deep. And naturally the transformation is profound, but the transformation is always profound one way or another, if that makes sense to you. And I know the rest of you are going to say, I was seeing your head shake and saying, no, you shouldn't. So I know the rest of you are going to speak again of dangers, and this is something that I want us to all be very mindful of not putting out as a message through this conversation, because the greater danger is to stay in the pain where we are. Is that making sense?
Yes,
the greater danger is to stay stuck in the trauma and not really create any progress through this lifetime, and then get to the end of the life, go on the other side, have a life review, and say, and what was the point of this? So right, a life wasted. So I want us to be very mindful of not scaring people away. I want to warn all of you, because of course when the importance of this subject is explored, I want everybody to be working with another person, because then there's a safe container, they're held, they're taken care of, they're guided. However, please don't scare people away from this work, because, like I said to you, the greater danger is people staying stuck in the problem. And the beauty of past life regression is that it can allow sometimes for such profound emotional understanding that people have instantaneous healing. And this is what has happened to me. I experienced a lifetime where I was a man. I experienced myself as a very strong black man. I was a slave, and I had this big metal collar around my neck. And the reason why I sought to experience that regression is because for the past, I don't know, year, maybe even more, I have been struggling with severe TMJ condition, an inflammation of the muscles of my jaw. And I did everything I could possibly do. I saw a physical therapist. I did a whole lot of work with a dentist. I was really doing everything I could possibly do to manage the physical environment of my body. And yet nothing was happening and nothing was improving. And so it was a very emotionally draining, but also very financially draining process, right? And then I remember doing the past life regression that I told you I did as a child. I found somebody to work with because it was very important for me to heal through this experience. And I saw myself in the regression experience. I saw myself as a man who was as I told you, enslaved, and the jaw was hurting right where there was a metal collar where the two pieces were attached around my neck. And so there was the awareness, the vague awareness of the masters, and profound sense of helplessness, a profound sense of not being able to improve my life. And so I walked out of that regression. Even though I worked with a therapist, the woman did not offer much comfort. She told me, process it. And that's exactly what I did. The psyche knows how to process. That's why I'm saying to you, the psyche will always guide you. You have to trust your psyche. You have to trust your subconscious. The subconscious is not a place of dark secrets. Your soul is always looking to guide you. The soul will always do the right thing for you. And so sure enough, I processed through these cathartic emotions, and what was processing other than crying? And then the next morning I woke up and the pain was gone. So I'm saying all of this to encourage people, go and explore regression. If you can pay somebody, pay them. Obviously you'll get better results. If you cannot pay anything, go on YouTube and find a free recording. But do something. Yeah.
We've had a question come in from Dawn, and she's saying she went to go and get herself hypnotized, but it didn't work. Can only certain people be hypnotized? For example, do they got to be strong in their mind if they're going through Depression, is it a good thing? Cassie, what do you think?
I think that in order to be hypnotized, you have to want to be hypnotized. And it might be as simple as that. My husband, he's a perfect example of somebody who does not want to be hypnotized. He, and guess what? He's a hypnotherapist. But for whatever reason, in this stage of his life, he does not want to go there. He's not interested. He used to be able to be hypnotized when he was younger, and now he just doesn't want to do it. And I try every once in a while just to see, but he understands the process very well, and he just says, you know what, I just don't actually have the intention to go there. So I think that if somebody has a true desire to let go and really see what their subconscious holds, then yes, they can be hypnotized. And if there's something holding you back, fear or something else, it probably won't happen, or at least really easily.
So if someone isn't strong, Desiree has come in and said if someone's not stable or strong, they shouldn't be doing past life regression.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
My personal view, I mean, like I said, I'm integrative, and I have a respect for every type of therapy. I mean, I've dipped in and out of lots of alternative therapy myself. My passion is the shadow work and the constant evolution that we as human beings continue to grow and expand. So I feel like sometimes I totally would not discourage anyone to going online or taking a kind of life regression or hypnotherapy. I think it's very good leverage, and I also agree that conventional therapy can be ineffective if it is just based on that avenue and that avenue alone. I do feel like where I'm coming from is the case of someone maybe feeling like there's something wrong with them if the results, and I say results in inverted commas, are not achieved, because I feel like sometimes as human beings we have an idea of what we want the outcome to feel like and be like. Going back to the soul, I do believe that sometimes we have to have lessons, and there's synchronized events in our life. That's just my personal belief. That sometimes we may overcome a certain threshold of experiences, but then just to flag up that I'm always an advocate of continual change, just to avoid the kind of spiritual bypassing that might occur with someone wanting a quick fix. But quick fixes can happen. I'm a Reiki. I love Reiki, and I do believe that works. So you can have revelations and awakenings just like that, and I do believe that. But I'm just sort of honouring the aspect of soul work, shadow work, and the constant evolution. I'm very existentialist. I do get comfortable in the uncomfortable, and knowing that sometimes life can be a little bit about digging a little bit further, even when we feel that our work is done.
We've got a comment coming from Tina, and she said, I'd rather pay and have the support, including the aftercare and advice to cope afterwards with a regression. Do you advise that people who get regressed, that they should go back, not just for regression, but for some aftercare? Should regressionists support that, offer that? Do they?
When I have given people past life regression before, I will always offer my services for them to message me, text me, phone me if there's any other problems. I always say to them, it's not a problem, just give me a ring. If you don't feel right, just ring me. I think that is about your ethics. That's about making sure someone is safe, making sure someone is stable, and it's about just generally looking after the person that has come to you. They've trusted you enough to come to you to try and resolve an issue that they have. I think the very least that you can do to that is offer some form of aftercare and know that they are there for you. Obviously, you don't want to go down the lines of sort of codependency and phoning back and, you know, continuously contacting people, and so they can't help themselves. But by the same token, there needs to be that balance there. And I'm sorry, I have to jump in as well. Sorry, Richard, I'm going to take you way
Go
back.
for it. Yeah, that's fine.
Because I don't believe in online therapy. That is not for me, not for me at all. And I'll tell you why. I also have had trauma in my life, and I also have had PTSD, drag that trauma out. And a lot of it has been worked with hypnotism, past life regression, counselling, and all sorts of various different therapies, which I feel that you need to also, first of all, trust where you're being guided. If it's not working, go and find someone else that does do it. And that includes any therapy whatsoever. You have to find one that suits you. Me personally, I would like to know that person's safe. And if something was ready to come out and they are left unsafe, now this isn't about scaring people, this is about being responsible with the practices that we're taught. These are people's minds that we're dealing with. These are people's thoughts, people's actions, people's reactions, people's lives. And, you know, there is enough people out there that are already having troubles and problems already without therapists not dealing with situations correctly. I'm not opposed to anyone else doing it. If that's what they want to do, great. Go rock your boat, whatever works for you. But for me, on a personal level, it's not happening. I've been asked already on lockdown for people to, you know, can you do some therapies? And I won't do it because I've had so many people, unless that's the sort of therapist that I am, in the sense that people will attract like attracts like, and you will get kinds of people come to you. I've had quite often a lot of people come to me with trauma and things like that, and I want them to heal. I'm also pretty much the same as yourself, where I need to go into that dark side. That dark side is nothing to be frightened of. To me, all the dark side is another part of you that's hidden that wants to be heard. And you can learn so much from that. It's not scary. It's not scary at all. This is a little person or something inside you saying, help me. That's all it is, and so it's not scary, but it does need to be handled professionally. It does need to be handled securely and safely. These people we're talking about. I mean, all these scientists that have like millions of degrees and stuff, they don't understand a tiny proportion of what the mind and what the brain does. So how are we? It's very flippant sometimes, in my opinion, to say that it's okay, you can just listen to something online and say, you know what, I'm gonna go down that route. But again, just my opinion.
I think just to add to that, you know, I'm not condoning that it's something bad. No. Past life regression, I've had past life regression myself. It's lovely. I think you need to think about why you're going into the past life regression. First, is it to heal? And you need, your past life regression therapist needs to be realistic with you, of looking at sort of some of the things that may or may not happen, because I think a lot of people, certainly in my experience, and I know Leanne, you said it before, that, you know, wow, past life regression, I'm so excited, I want to know what I was in a previous life. And then suddenly to be faced with something that's quite traumatic is, I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And unless, what I was saying was, it needs to have somebody who's trained to do what they're doing. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, it's a fantastic thing, past life regression. Like any therapist, it has its place, as long as the people that are doing it are trained and they're working ethically. You know, at the end of the day, we have a duty of care to the clients we're working with, and as spiritual people, we're very, very sensitive, and as a result, we're prone to anxiety, stress, and things. And if we're in a room where we're not regulated, where we're not being viewed, then to me, and this is only my personal view, is that it again is not helping that client. I think the other thing we need to distinguish here is the difference between past life regression and visualization, because, you know, the two very different things. So going on a YouTube and having a visualization and being, you know, taken through to see certain things, as opposed to a proper past life regression, are two totally different things. And that also needs to be explained by the appropriate therapist.
Can I just ask everybody what their thoughts are on group regression?
Oh.
What do you think? What's your thoughts? I'm really interested to
Are you
know.
saying group has been put together, or
Lots
like
of
an
people
online
together.
group sort of thing?
No. Lots of people in together in the same room and one past life regression. What's your thoughts, guys?
I'm just going to relate it to when back when I went on to a trauma retreat. I know it's not really a retreat, is it? Trauma retreat in one word. But when I was in my counselling studies and we were taken away for the weekend for residential, it was kind of like a self discovery and learning about our own trauma. As therapists, we had to learn that, and we went away for the weekend. So we were in a group and we were accessing our trauma as and processing it, and it was very, very moving, transformative, beautiful, and painful at the same time. And I'm a big one for collaboration, and I'm a big one for collaboration, but that the energy combining and the unity magnifying. But yet I do have a relationship with the polarities and understanding the components to it. So I do feel like it's got its advantages, but it's also got a little bit of a I'm not too sure. There's a word that wants to come through, but it's not quite coming through. But I just thought I wanted to share that on the back end, just to see if it adds on a little bit more for anyone else.
A lot of people saying no, definitely not online here. Cassie, what's your thoughts on that one?
It's interesting that this topic came up because I'm actually developing a few group programs at the moment. I think that it's a good idea under the right circumstances. If people have a united intention to go to the same sort of experience at the same depth, then I think it can be very good if you're offering support afterwards. So integrating into my programs, I'm definitely not going to just disappear afterwards. It's all going to be in person, and I will be fully available from a therapeutic standpoint to anybody who feels they should need it. And then I also have interest from groups, things that are it's just for fun, like hair weekends, where they just want to have like kind of a group experience. And I think that that's okay too, but then I will do it in a totally different way, where I progress into a happy, simple time as a group, and just kind of give them a different experience, but then also be available afterwards just in case somebody should go to something that's a little bit more difficult for them to process. So I think it's possible, but it has to be done very intentionally in the right setting.
We've got a couple of more questions coming in. If I can find them. Amy has said she's always been interested in spirituality, but just lately I have felt urges and I feel like I need to look into more. I am struggling with mental health and also physical health, so don't know whether it's right or wrong to have regression. So with someone like we mentioned earlier on, if they have a mental health issue, would you sit people down first, talk to them, have a quick meeting with them first, and then say, look, you're really not right to be regressed, or yes, we can go ahead under these terms? Is there like a pre-interview before someone is regressed?
I always do that, always. I always do a consultation. I always look into the mental health side of it, the physical health side of it, the reasons why they came. This is, again, I'm not mucking about. This is a proper, you're going into people's lives, you're trying to help people. It's something that, obviously confidentiality rocks through in this. We do go quite in depth in this, because the last thing you want to do is, allow someone regress somebody, and then they end up getting into trouble somewhere on the line of something that you're not aware of. So you design the questionnaire beforehand, or the consultation beforehand, worded so that you can find out what's needed that helps you, their fears, their phobias, their health, and you know, any illnesses. I mean, at the end of the day, the last thing you want, for example, is for somebody that suffers with epilepsy to sit on your couch and then you take them in depression and they have an epileptic fit and you didn't know anything about it. So I think to me it's common sense.
I think the other thing to mention is that people who have had the proper training will be part of an association where you can check their qualifications, and you can, whether that's the Earth Association and different things, you can go onto the website and you can check their experience and everything else, just the same as you can for any other sort of therapy.
So do you think then, Tom has made a comment, I'll go back to what I was just thinking then in a sec, that if you have an idea what your previous life is, or was I should say, can this be suggestive and given wrong interpretations or biased in memories?
I think there's something to say about conceptualization, like when you know, you know. And when I do my work with it's like what we call relational depth in counselling. It's like the experience without it being said. I feel like you can facilitate someone to embody their knowingness, and there's no there's no argument. Then it's a tangibility in embodiment. Does that make sense? I think some people can just connect and really get that sense of solidarity in their connection.
Yeah, I understand. For me, for example, let's say I read a book when I was 13, and it stayed in the subconscious. It's sitting there doing nothing, and then 30 years later, I've totally forgotten about this book that I've read, and I start to go, I think regression is a bit of fun, let's say. My mate saying, oh, he was an Egyptian god, or he was a princess, or whatever the case may be. But, oh, this sounds a bit of fun, I'm going to go and do that. And you sit down on the couch, the person saying, the regressionist is saying to you, okay, let's get you under them. And they do. And it's not really your past life. It's from a book that you read since when you was 12 years old, but you totally forgot about it. But could that be regression? Could that be the real regression and not looking through someone's past life?
So I want to address this. Can you read, Richard, can you read the question again?
Yeah, my question was, if someone, let's say I was 12 years old.
I'm so Tom? Sorry, Richard. I heard Tom's, yes.
Yeah, Tom said, if you have an idea of what your previous life was, can this be suggestive and give wrong interpretations or biased in memories?
So what we need to all understand is that time is simultaneous. So what that means is that the past lives that we're experiencing are not necessarily past lives. They're unfolding presently, right now, in this moment. And so a better term for what we actually are talking about will be actually to call them parallel lives. And so if time is simultaneous, that means that what happened when that book was read in your question, Richard, right, in your example, it's not that time only flows forward. So here we are, and it only flows forward in time, but also time is simultaneous, so you can say that it also flows backwards. So why were you attracted to that book? In other words, the other day I was doing a past life regression with a woman who had a very profound experience of being a Native American woman. She felt deeply connected with the land, with people, with the tribe, a great sense of being worthy. A great sense of being valued for who she is. She had healing abilities that she was able to contribute to the tribe in that lifetime. And so afterwards, when she and I spoke, she said to me, a couple of days ago, I was flipping through a catalog, and she didn't specify what kind of catalog or what kind of magazine, but this image of a Native American woman popped out. And so her question was, did I experience a lifetime of being a Native American because a couple of days ago I saw that image. And I said to her, or did you notice that image because you have experienced the past life of being, or the parallel life of being the Native American woman? And so because time is simultaneous, you had that future moment looking backwards and attaching meaning to it, if that makes sense. So my answer when people question the fabrication of things, just like the question was asking, is to say to them, we're doing this for the purpose of moving you forward. We're doing this for the purpose of clearing and releasing and liberating you and empowering you. So what that means is whatever shows up, I want to encourage you to not so much question, is it real, but is it relevant? Because yes, there are situations where we can go and research and say, yes, I was this person. The world is filled with stories like that. Ian Stevenson and then his team later on are very well known for researching past lives. And so that's always a blessing when a person can go and find the proof. However, how often does that really happen? Not really so often. And so my encouragement is always for us to go for the healing, for the releasing, for the transformative part by saying, how is this relevant? Because truly, talking about simultaneous time, if time is really simultaneous, that it means everything exists right here, right now. So we're not really imagining things when we connect with another lifetime. We're really just tapping into something for a first time and becoming aware of it for a first time. Now, there's so many layers to our psyche. There's always to our subconscious. There's the personal layer subconscious. There's the many lifetimes. Then there's the shared mass experience of the race of human beings, and then the consciousness of all beings. So my suggestion is always to really go for how is it relevant, because then the explanation to each experience is much deeper than what you and I are able to analyze in the moment. In other words, the layers of the psyche, the bigness of the soul's experiences are so much more of a mystery than what we can say, yeah, that's a fabrication, or that's a subconscious memory shared by humanity. Is that making sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really the simplification. It's really the simplification. Does that help you move forward?
Interesting you say that, because that someone's actually saying about that when they've had readings, Sally was saying when she's had readings in the past, she's always had snippets of her past life for a reader. Would a reader, a medium, a tarot card reader, is that right that they do that? So if let's say, for example, I went along and had a reading with Kirsty and Matt, for example, and you start saying, Richard, in your previous life, you was Princess Diana. I don't know why I thought that, but there you go. Not saying I want to dress up in a skirt and a dress. So you comments at home, you keep quiet. I know what you guys are like. Is it right for a medium or a reader to actually say that to someone? I'm asking this to Kirsty and Matt.
Okay, so what evidence, firstly, on what relevance has it got to the person? It's a bit like saying you've got a North American Indian guide. There's no proof of that. There's no evidence. So from an evidence point of view, it doesn't demonstrate anything. At the end of the day, we're all energy, and we're tapping into that energy. Angelina mentioned before about the different dimensions, and on the DNA, ancestral DNA, we can tap into that sort of energy as well. So there will be elements of where, yes, a medium can tap into that, but whether it's one, ethical, relevant, and whether it's the place for it. Well, that's my personal view now.
Depends in context as well, doesn't it? Because, if this is something that keeps recurring over and over and over and over again, and it's causing a problem for that person in that life, Spirit had to look at it and thought, hang on a minute, we need to sort this out a little bit. And if it comes out in a reading that they need it that needed to be dealt with, then perhaps to pass them on to a past life regression therapist in order to help them move forward. Maybe that would be the option in that respect. But generally speaking, it's when you're a medium, you give evidence for life after death, i.e. the person that you're talking about, and then they will come and give you a bit of help, if you like, but not much. If you're doing readings and things in a psychic way, it possibly could come up then, but the only reason why it would come up to me is because they want to help you in some way, because generally that's what readings do. Readings are about helping. Well, that's certainly the intention that I sent out anyway.
And I think the other thing, from a legal point of view, you are only dealing with things that you're trained to deliver. So, it's a bit like a healer. There might be an osteopath in another part of their profession, but they just do healing in that. Or, with another person, there might be a counsellor, but they're giving mediumistic readings. It's about just doing what you're there to do, and if you can then say, well, I actually do this as as another part of my training, or to signpost to the relevant people.
Okay, then just to diverting just a little bit, because the mind is so powerful. Do you think that regression is down to, obviously it's down to the mind, obviously, but can it be playing tricks on us, Cassie? That I'm getting questions coming in. For example, the bad experiences. What if someone was being regressed and negative? They started getting angry or become very negative. Does that happen in regression? And if so, how can we help that person?
It definitely happens. My clients experience the entire range of human emotion during regression. Not all at the same time, of course, but I've definitely had people get really angry. Sometimes they become so angry that you can actually feel the heat coming off of their body.
Wow.
And so there's not just one way that I deal with it. It really depends on the client and what exactly they're experiencing at that moment. But in the case of a really extreme emotion, I like to weave in some kind of a somatic experience where we can actually do some exercises to kind of release that emotion from within the cells of their body. That can be like by making certain sounds based on where in the body they're feeling it. I don't use that with everybody though. But yeah, I think that when a client is experiencing an intense emotion, that to me is a sign that it's working. That's what we want to happen, because that's the only way to release it and get it out. So I just try to encourage them to stay with it, don't resist it, just fully feel it, and process where it's coming from, and then kind of move through it to the other side and let it go.
So a question for all of you. Who hasn't been regressed? Has all of you been regressed?
I haven't had one-to-one past life regression, and I would absolutely love to. I've just had my experiences through my own dreams and kind of some online regression that I just wanted to try, because I felt some form of connection with my waking life, with what I deemed would be coming from maybe another life that I've lived somewhere. So I personally haven't had the one-to-one, and I think I'd like to try that, because like you guys are saying, I think there's a difference between someone kind of talking you through and taking you through that full process versus kind of, the version that you can do online as well. where it's, you know, sometimes aimed at getting you to a specific place. And I think when you're with somebody, you've already set that intention while you're sat with them one-to-one, that you really want to do that, and you want somebody to help you guide you through that process. I think kind of from my point of view and the experience of the online meditations, I've had to really kind of set my intentions of wanting to do that. And like I said, sometimes I've experienced, it's like I'm popping in and out of conscious, like my mind is fighting wanting to do it. So I really haven't tried the one-to-one, but I really would like to, because I think I'd get more benefit from that. And I'd like to, I find that kind of the way I experience it in dreams is sometimes very distorted as well. So it kind of leaves me with that wanting to know more, what happened after that, or, you know, it's only giving me little snippets. So I think I can definitely see the benefit with the one-to-one regressions, and it's a more personal touch, I think, as well.
Well, I'm going to be doing an online regression course. It's £400 per person if you want to come along and join that. On a serious note,
I'm not sure I'd trust you, Richard.
I wouldn't.
I'll make lovely bread pudding afterwards. If you want. We got a question here from Diana. What are the risks of someone who was perhaps a sociopath in a former incarnation, bringing those unwanted attributes into the current incarnation?
I want to answer this one because I have a story to tell you.
I can see everybody sort of leaning forward. I'm going to do this one, and boom, up there.
So I was working with a woman, and a lovely woman, a wonderful person. I knew her outside of the regression. She and I were working together doing some work, and she experienced a lifetime where she was...
Oh, that's my window.
Is that with, is it?
I'm going to get you.
I'm looking outside again. Where's that?
Just for effect.
Totally perfect, apropos to the story. And so she experienced a lifetime where she was taking a hike up through a mountain with her lover, and it was a woman. She was a gay woman, and she was really very jealous of the woman, truly jealous. And so she very methodically described the whole scene of murdering the woman, hiding the body, and then leaving the scene, leaving the hike, and then life kept going. So that's one story. Another story I experienced was somebody who was in New York City, actually New Jersey, but you understand, on the other side of the river of New York City, in New Jersey, somebody who was working as a murder.
Oh, that's an ice cream fan now. That's got it all.
I think you should. I think
I'm bringing entertainment here.
And so he was working as a murderer for hire. So he would basically get you know, the orders of this is the person, this is the person, this is the person. And then there was an epic scene how he was in this warehouse space, so a very urban scene where he was shot to death. And again, all these people come out of these experiences saying, "Oh, okay, well that was interesting." So I wanna tell you a third story since I'm on the roll. So I worked with a woman who had a husband, and the two of them were really struggling financially, and they made a plan to rob a bank. And so they robbed the bank, and once they go away from the bank, each one of them kind of like splits and gets some money, and, you know, separates the money and splits. And And the woman was actually never went back to their dwelling, never went back to the home because she was so terrified of being found out. So she ditched the guy, took the money, and really left. And it was such an interesting moment how as she was describing, I'm just driving, I'm just continuing to drive, I'm gonna drive, you know, she was describing the fear of that moment, right? The fear of what's going on. And so eventually she settled into a new town, a new place, bought a business, was able to marry again, create a new identity, and start a life anew. So we actually looked into that lifetime. She actually experienced that lifetime because her question was, why do I keep on struggling with money in this lifetime? And there was a connection with her husband, who was the same husband in that lifetime. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you by giving you these stories is we have all done things that are not perfect in other lifetimes. I guarantee you. That's why I don't feel any shame or embarrassment saying the story of this German-Russian spy lifetime that I spoke of earlier, because you know, the purpose of every life and every experience is to learn and to grow. And so as these people are coming out of their regressions and saying, oh, that was interesting, we carry these stories in our psyche. Is that making sense? That's why nothing what shows up can really surprise us, if you will, because it's our story. It's part of our history. On a subconscious level, we're aware of it. And I wouldn't necessarily make the connection that if you have done something bad in another lifetime, that translates into who you are. I wouldn't go there at all. It's much, yeah, I don't need to explain anything further. Yeah.
Well, we've run out of time. It's flown by. Thank you all so much. But one thing that has gained from this, I've gained a client. Dawn reckons that's a bargain, and she loves bread pudding. So I've got one client. Just to finish it off then, and yeah, that's funny because I was just had this in mind what I want to ask, and Dawn's asked the same sort of thing. So I put Dawn's question up. Just how weird is that? I was going to ask exactly the same question. Is it possible to have a birthmark on your body as a reflection of a physical wound from past life? Now, my question was very similar. It's like if you like been stabbed or shot. Because I have a certain, all my life when I've been growing up, I've always had a certain name which I believed I was in my past life. I knew I got shot, and the place where I got shot is actually a mark. Now, I don't know if it's my subconscious or anything like that. So, yeah, I find it quite funny that I was going to mention that, and then Bill mentions it. What a coincidence.
That's really cool, actually, because I've kind of felt that before, that I've kind of, I don't know if it's somewhere I read it or it was just something that I perceived, but I've kind of got a birthmark, and I actually thought to myself, I wonder if that's a wound from a previous life that I've kind of carried through with me. And I'd be interested to know actually what your guys' thoughts are on that, because that was just something that popped into my head one day and I've never read it anywhere. So what do you think? I'm guessing it can happen, right?
This is where they all go quiet. I'm not going to answer this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Who's brave? Because I've run out of time. Can I pick on someone then?
Go on, Kirsty. Leaning
I think so, yes, sometimes definitely. And I think it's almost like there's a reason for it. I think that although that we are made up of these these many lives, I kind of like to, the way I think about it, in a way, it's like, you know, when you cut a tree in half, you have these many sort of rings, and these are all connected with the whole tree, but many parts of it. And I do feel sometimes that there are things that come through physically that we have brought through from past lives, because there's still maybe things that we need to hang on to, maybe there's things that we need to learn, maybe there's things that we need to be reminded from subconsciously, if that makes any sense. So over to you, Cassie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that anything that you're experiencing physical in the present life could possibly be an imprint from a past life, whether that be a birthmark or an actual illness or a physical ailment. I have a client that I'm working with right now who her whole life has had thyroid problems, thyroid tumors, always feeling like there's pain here, and she wanted to see if we could find it in a past life, and sure enough, she was choked like this and strangled in a past life more than 100 years ago. As soon as we did the healing work, it took us a few sessions, she no longer feels anything at all in her neck.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's just one example, and I think birthmarks are another one.
I know we're running out of time, but I've got someone's just asked. Sorry, if I'm not keeping you all here. I'm not going to go on all day because I've got another show to do later. But one for you, Angelina. So Desiree's asking another question. After being informed about past life, does this result in being able to fix stuff that's wrong in this lifetime?
Does it involve being able to pick up, did you say?
Yeah, no. So being informed about the past life after a regression,
Mm.
and this help in being able to fix the problems that they currently are issuing in this life.
Oh, okay, yeah, totally get that. And fix is quite a loaded word. Just sort of priming that one a little bit, because I just feel it adds leverage to self-awareness. I mean, I stand on the fence, not on the fence, but I kind of am neutral in all of this, and I feel like it's information, isn't it? And it adds to the toolkit of our self-awareness. And I always believe that awareness is the key to change, and it allows choices to determine you becoming free-flowing, evolving, and non-victim. And so, yeah, I feel it could be empowering.
Thank you.
Can I just say as well, we've been referring to the psyche and the mind and all of that about past life all the time. Well, it's the soul that holds the information. And there's been a lot of studies in the sort of the last 5 to 7 years that a lot of the memories that are actually held in the heart, not in the mind. So where does that sit with past life regression?
Okay. Right, guys, I really should finish it because these everybody's got things to do, and these lovely ladies are from the USA, so they think I just want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
Just one final comment from everybody, because that obviously allows me to the banner underneath to say where they can contact you. Any last thoughts about regression, where they can contact you if they've got any questions, and so forth. So it's a bit of advertising for you. So let's start with Angelina and work our way backwards.
Yeah, I'd just say Google my name, Angelina Ray. I've got my website, Counselling and Health, and it's all there, Counselling and Health.
Okay, that was quick.
Quite simple, yeah.
Oh, that's us. I'm, as you know, as you just said, I'm a hypnotherapist and a past life regression therapist. You can find me at KDG Hypnotherapy. But for me personally, for regards to this, just trust your instincts. Wherever you're drawn to, wherever you feel what is right, what is wrong, that's where you should go.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
And just to say that past life is a wonderful thing. It's definitely something to experience for everybody. But just be safe. Check the credentials of the people and check that it's done properly.
Cassie.
I'm a past life I'm a past life regression therapist. I work online with clients all over the world. The best way to contact me is on my Facebook page, Past Life Regression Community with Cassie. Find me there. We're always having a discussion going, and I do free oracle readings every Thursday. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
And
Oh,
Leah.
over to me. Hey. So I can't offer you guys past life regression, but I am a Reiki energy healer. I do distance energy healing, and I can help you guys kind of sort some kind of sense out of your dreams as well with dream analysis and interpretation. So if you pop over to my page, it's Facebook /Healing Elements UK, and I have some Reiki videos, Reiki meditational videos, mindfulness videos, and I do a lot of informational posts based on everything that I do as well. So pop over to my page, it'd be lovely to see you there.
Amira.
So I just first want to thank everybody for being with us and having this conversation with us through their questions. There's so much to explore about past life regression and healing. So I offer people to dive, obviously, as I said, into all my YouTube videos where I answer a whole lot of questions. I recorded a lot of videos, also have the couple of past life regressions that I mentioned. Also, I have a book published by Hay House called Beyond Past Lives, so check that out. I just did a workshop with alternatives in London, so I regret I cannot invite you to that. It's already passed, but definitely keep an eye on what I do in the future. And you can connect with me on all the social medias. It's just my name, social media platforms, mirakelly.com. And I have a very vibrant and very engaged past life regression group on Facebook. And so just really look for past life regression on Facebook. And the group will pop up. It was actually the first group ever created on Facebook, so it's very dynamic, years and years worth of content there.
Wow.
And of course, finally, my website, mirakelly.com, L-L-E-Y, as we figured out, is the right spelling of my name. And so email me either through my website or info@mirakelly and reach out. And much like Cassie, I do my work all over the place. My book has been published in 19 languages. So I really work with clients from all over the world. And I'm excited to connect with whomever reaches out. And meanwhile, I wanted to thank the rest of you on the panel. Thank you for the lovely discussion. It was really wonderful to hear your thoughts and your experiences. And thank you, Richard, for organizing this.
You're welcome. Well, thank you very much for everybody for coming along and enjoying the show and answering our viewers' questions and answering some of my questions and so. But before everybody disappears, just a gentle reminder of what's on tonight, everyone. We are on location with Sally and Bob from 8 o'clock. We're at Don Stylis' place, so it's going to be a live broadcast at a supposedly haunted location. So that's on at 8 o'clock. You want to come and join us. And then tomorrow afternoon, if this software ever does it, there you go. We have at 3:45, we have Indigo. And that's at 3:45, as I said, and she's offering sort of readings and so forth. And then tomorrow evening, and I think I've uploaded the wrong one. I did, yeah, but tomorrow night we have Kirsty and Matt on tomorrow night. They don't need any plugging at 8 o'clock for readings and some spiritual counselling and guidance. But what we do have Tuesday evening, if you want to come along, we have a special night all about psychic art and with colours and feathers. That's with Luna Emerson. We did do a psychic art the other day, and we got thousands of people watching it, so we thought we'd do another one. So yeah, come along Tuesday night, and that's at 8 o'clock. By all means, check out all our guests. A big thank you to Mira, to Angelina, to Leanne, to Kirsty and Matt, and to Cassie. Thanks ever so much. Thank you everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed this show. Please check out their web pages. That's enough of me waffling. I'll see you all tonight. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.